She's my mum. Please marry her." The morning sun cast long shadows across Maple Street as Jake wiped his hands on an old rag, the familiar scent of motor oil and possibility filling the air. His small auto repair shop sat on the corner like a beacon of hope for stranded drivers, its weathered sign reading Jake's Honest Repairs in faded blue letters. Jake had built his reputation one satisfied customer at a time. At 32, he understood that trust came slowly in a world full of overpriced mechanics and hidden fees. His philosophy was simple: treat people fairly, charge what's right, and sleep well at night. The sound of a struggling engine caught his attention. A black SUV rolled to a stop near his shop, steam rising from under the hood like morning fog. Jake set down his coffee and walked toward the vehicle, his boots crunching on the gravel. Behind the wheel sat a woman in her late 20s, her blonde hair catching the sunlight. She wore a navy business suit and had the look of someone whose carefully planned day had just taken an unexpected turn. Her fingers drummed nervously against the steering wheel as she stared at the temperature gauge climbing into the red zone. "Having some trouble?" Jake called out, approaching the driver's side window. The woman lowered the glass, and Jake caught a glimpse of tired eyes and worry lines. "I think it's overheating," she said, her voice carrying a hint of frustration. "I was on my way to drop off my daughter at school, then head to work. This couldn't have happened at a worse time." Jake nodded understandingly. "Mind if I take a look?" As the woman stepped out, Jake noticed a small girl in the back seat. She couldn't have been more than 6 years old, wearing a pink dress and oversized sunglasses that made her look like a tiny movie star. Her blonde hair was pulled back with a matching pink bow, and she watched Jake with curious eyes. "Hi there," Jake said to the little girl through the open window. "What's your name?" "Emma," she replied, pushing her sunglasses up on her head. "Are you going to fix our car?" "I'm going to try my best," Jake promised, then turned to the woman. "I'm Jake, by the way." "Sarah," she replied, glancing at her watch. "Listen, I really appreciate this, but I need to know how much it's going to cost. I'm a single mom and money's been, well, it's been tight lately." Jake popped the hood and peered inside. The radiator hose had split, causing coolant to leak out. It was a simple fix, but he could see the worry etched on Sarah's face. He'd been in her shoes before, back when his own world had fallen apart. "The good news is, it's not serious," Jake said, straightening up. "Just a split radiator hose. I can have you back on the road in about 20 minutes. Sarah's shoulders sagged with relief, but the worry remained. "How much?" Jake looked at Emma, who was now standing beside her mother holding her hand. Something about the scene tugged at his heart. He remembered being 7 years old, watching his single mother count coins to pay for car repairs, the shame and fear in her eyes. "You know what?" Jake said, surprising himself. "Don't worry about it. Consider it a good deed for the day." Sarah's eyes widened. "I can't let you do that. You have a business to run, and part of running a good business is helping out neighbors when they need it," Jake replied. "Besides, it'll only take a few minutes. Why don't you and Emma wait inside? There's a coffee machine and some coloring books." As Jake worked on the car, he could hear Emma's voice drifting from the shop. She was telling Sarah about her drawings, chattering about school, and asking endless questions about everything she could see. Her voice reminded him of his own childhood, when the world was full of wonder despite the struggles at home. The repair was indeed simple. Jake replaced the hose, topped off the coolant, and checked the rest of the system. As he worked, he found himself thinking about Sarah's situation. He recognized the signs, the careful budgeting, the worry about unexpected expenses, the weight of handling everything alone when he finished. Jake walked into the shop to find Emma showing Sarah her latest masterpiece, a crayon drawing of a family standing next to a car. "That's beautiful, sweetheart," Sarah was saying, her voice warm with love. "It's us," Emma explained, pointing to the figures. "That's you, and that's me, and that's the nice man who fixed our car." Jake cleared his throat. "All set. She should run fine now." Sarah reached for her purse. "Please, let me pay you something." "Absolutely not," Jake said firmly. "But I do have one request." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "If you ever need any car work done, you bring it here first. Deal?" Sarah smiled, the first genuine smile he'd seen from her all morning. "Deal." As they prepared to leave, Emma tugged on Jake's shirt. He knelt down to her level. "Thank you for fixing our car," she whispered, but didn't step away. Instead, she glanced toward her mother, then back to Jake, her small face serious. "Can I tell you a secret?" Emma asked, her voice barely audible. Jake nodded, leaning closer. Emma cupped her tiny hands around his ear. "She's my mum," she whispered, as if this wasn't obvious. Then, even quieter, "Please marry her." Jake's heart stopped. He looked up at Sarah, who was checking her phone and gathering her things, oblivious to her daughter's whispered request. When he looked back at Emma, she was nodding earnestly, as if she'd just solved the world's greatest problem. "Emma, sweetie, we need to go," Sarah called out. Jake stood slowly, his mind reeling. As they walked toward the car, Emma skipped ahead, but Sarah lingered. "I can't tell you how much this means to me," she said quietly. "People like you, well, they're rare these days." "Just paying it forward," Jake replied, though his voice sounded different to his own ears. As they drove away, Emma waved enthusiastically from the back seat, and Jake found himself waving back. He stood there long after the SUV disappeared around the corner, Emma's innocent words echoing in his mind. That evening, as Jake locked up his shop, he thought about the day's events. Sometimes he realized the most unexpected moments could shift everything. A broken radiator hose, a little girl's whispered wish, and a mother's grateful smile had somehow changed the color of his entire world. He looked up at the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky and smiled. Tomorrow would bring new possibilities, and for the first time in years, Jake found himself genuinely looking forward to whatever came next. Sometimes the best things in life started with the simplest acts of kindness, and sometimes, just sometimes, little girls knew exactly what we're talking about.